It's the real California.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's got enough
relaxed.
rawness. It's rugged. It's
Yeah,
fierce, isn't it? Yes,
it's a nice vibe. Very
it is.
beautiful.
It's beautiful there.
Are
Oh,
you
I'm
from
glad.
Chicago?
Yes, I live in Oak Park. I live in this very beautiful, quiet village, really, in the middle of Chicago. It's got Frank Lloyd Wright drawings and buildings and God knows what. So it's very beautiful.
Oh, yeah. How long have you been there?
About 4 years. I love it. It's a quiet, quiet place out of the wind, and it's filled with deeply crazy people who are kind and funny and
Oh my gosh.
brilliant, doing all kinds of different things, trying to keep themselves alive in this wild time.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I
We
just
need
wanted
it.
to, before we recorded, I just want to say
Yes.
that you are an idol to me, and I just
Oh,
look
thank
up
you.
to the work that you do, and
What is it about the work that I do that you like? Tell me why I touch you. It's so touching for me, but I'd really love to know what it is that I've done
yeah,
that has touched you.
my career started in nonviolence activism.
Mm.
So we trained under like Satyagraha and Ahimsa, and we learned about Gandhian and Martin Luther King teachings and like what Bayard Rustin brought back from India. So
Mm.
that I really, at the young age, saw that there was no other way to make change,
Yes.
you know, and and then I've always been deeply spiritual. I grew up in an evangelical Christian family, and then and then as I got older, I started to develop my own concept of a higher power. So, and that led
Thank
me.
God you rescued yourself from that. That's great. That is such fucking insanity. It is so psychotic too. The way
Right.
they treat gay people is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. I was
As
disowned
if
in
the
high school.
Christ wouldn't love every single being completely and
Yes.
honor and adore gay love, because of course he would understand it.
Exactly. Like in gay mysticism, your book
Oh
was
yeah.
so profound. Like everyone who I've suggested it to are like blown away, and it's
Thank you.
so powerful. And then I dove into a spiritual counseling practitioner program that was based off of A Course in Miracles and New Thought. And then from there, I've just deepened and like looked into mysticism and you know like miraculous healings and things like that. And I really resonate with the teachings of Jesus and then Kuan Yin. So like I really, really see them as like
Compassion teachings.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I like to kind of get
It's
people
very simple, Brandon.
right.
Y- Listen to me, my darling boy.
I'm listening.
Be a lover.
Yes.
Just love. Turn up in heart, mind, soul, and body in love with the beloved, with the whole enchilada, and radiate love
Yes.
from your mind, your heart, your stomach, your genitals, your legs, your bones, your cells.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the way, because that's being embodied, that's being alive, that's being
Right.
divine and human at the same.
Now,
And you
how?
know how to do it. I
I was
believe
going to
you
say, how
really
do you
know how
go
to do it.
about doing that?
I think the first thing you do is admit that you're a mystic and really come out of the last closet that there is. And that's the
Sure.
most important closet of all. So you've got to get out of that one.
Yeah.
And finally, admit to yourself that what you truly want is reality. You
Mm.
want a revelation of who you really are, what the world really is, what God is. You want to be initiated. And
And
then you just have to decide to understand that all the kinds of love that you've enjoyed, all the kinds of love that you've yearned for, they're all like rays from a hidden sun that is love itself. So you know what love is. You felt the ecstasy, the orgasmic power, the
wow.
yearning, the longing. Now realize that all of those are the emotions that belong not to the rays of the sun, but to the sun itself, and turn and make the sun your lover.
Not only are you a beautiful writer, but you are a poet when you speak. Like, it's just
That's the
like
truth. That's the
all,
reality.
it just channels through you. That's so beautiful.
But that makes sense, you see, because you have to have the most extreme love relationship imaginable, which is not with a human being, but with the source itself that is in love with you anyway.
Right.
So turn up in that love and give yourself to that love, and everything else follows, because the more you turn up in that love, the more whole you become, the more joyful you become, the more wise you become, the more ecstatic you become, the more inspiring you become, the more creative you become, the more focused you become,
Right.
because you get guided from within yourself,
Right.
because love teaches you directly how to love more and
Right.
what to do, because love is also total wisdom.
Mm. And I obviously started recording because you were giving wisdom bombs. So, but I'll do.
It's no, let's talk about this. Let's start right now. Let's plunge in right now as people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because
And
you're
I'll.
so wonderful. You told me a hell of a story to get out of that killing of the soul of fundamentalism and to find your way to beauty and truth and love is a huge achievement, isn't it?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And it also felt like there was no other way, right?
Oh no,
Right
you can't breathe in
time.
that
Yeah.
world, because it's crazy. It must be insane.
Yep.
Because if you wake up to being gay, and it means that you wake up to loving another man, you also wake up to the adoration in that, the beauty in that, the holiness in that, the rapture
Right.
in that. And you know that it's holy. How could it not be holy? How
Yeah.
could something so astoundingly exciting and so completely transforming not be holy?
Right. Right.
Right.
And when you meet that someone, it just shoots right to your heart, and like, how could this be anything but, you know?
How could this be anything but Holy Communion? You're meeting, a part of God is coming together with another part of God, and they're making love. And the angels are singing with ecstasy.
I love that.
Of course they are. Every time anyone comes together in the profoundest love with anyone else, the divine explodes with joy. Are you kidding? That's what we're here on the earth to enjoy.
Right. Right. Um,
And
and
to celebrate and to honor in others and to
yeah,
encourage, because it makes such better, richer, kinder, sweeter human beings.
yes, I really connect with that, because people often relate to me like, this is life's supposed to be arduous and we're supposed to learn lessons, and I'm like, I feel like we know what we need to know at the heart of us. Like, this is time to play and enjoy. And
Yes, but it depends what you mean by play and enjoy. If you want to play and enjoy in the greatest game of all, then you have to choose a life of abandon to the divine, because the divine is the ultimate experience on every conceivable level.
right.
So if you're playing and enjoying with that part of you, you're radiating encouragement and passion and inspiration and laughter and faith and strength to other people in the middle of the worst evolutionary crisis the world's ever seen.
Yeah. Yes.
And that would be a wonderful thing to be as a human being, somebody who
Exactly.
exemplifies that wild, holy freedom in
Yes.
the middle of all of this burning chaos.
Preach, Andrew, preach.
No,
Um,
I won't. No, that's what I'm hearing from you. That's what I'm really hearing from you. But it's also something I think a lot about. I think a lot about the phrase gay liberation. And obviously, I belong to a generation that suffered tremendously to liberate ourselves and paid terrible prices for it, and really, really believed in absolute freedom of sexual expression and in the wild holiness of radical sexual expression. We weren't Puritans.
Right.
But as the whole movement has grown and exploded in all kinds of wonderful ways, the question remains, what does gay liberation really mean? To me, it means, what is it to be a liberated gay person? What is it to be a free, divinely awake, passionate, creative, self-loving, other-serving, gay, divine human being?
Right.
That's what gay liberation means.
Right. What is it after you've struggled to free
Right.
yourself?
What is all of that pain for? What is all of that struggle for? What is all of that agony about self-acceptance about? What is it really about? And if you don't ask that question deeply enough, I don't think you come to the two thrilling answers.
I'm ready.
The first answer is that it's about baptizing you in the agony of the world and bitch slapping you awake and making you compassionate to all the other poor sons of bitches who have to suffer like hell in this world.
Right.
And it's so good for you to be humiliated and made to be a liar and made to be a spy and made to feel that you're worthless, because if you'll get through it, but getting through it, you'll know what half the world feels every single day. Billions of people who can't afford medicine for their children.
Right.
You'll know what brutality feels like because you'll have tasted it.
Yes.
So that's the first great initiation, and gay people should never waste that, because if you really drink deep of that bitter wine, it makes you a rebel. It gives you laser eyes. It gives you courage to tear down the structures that batter people to death and keep them enslaved and brutalized them spiritually and in every other way. It's the source of the edgy brilliance of gay people, of their rebellious wisdom. And that's, and their vast compassion. And that's the first great initiation. And the second great initiation, I believe, is that if you really, really come through all the bullshit that you've been taught about yourself and the body and sexuality, come to truly bless your sexuality as a holy, ecstatic celebration of divine love in and through the human. If you can really get there, if you could get to a place where you truly experience the one you are making love to as God appearing to you to be loved by your God, by your divine self. And if you can experience the ecstasy of that, then you've broken through into the major new force that's on the earth, a great force of divine, passionate love that is clearing away the darkness and the shadows of the past, especially about the body, to help birth an embodied divine human race. And you are one of the pioneers of that, because you've broken through to a yes to yourself, despite all the no's thrown at you. You've said, my sex is holy.
Right.
And
That's funny.
orgasm is ecstatic praise of the divine.
That's funny that you
That's
said.
a huge liberation.
I shock people, and this doesn't even seem shocking to me, but when I have gotten intimate with someone, I'm always like, oh yeah, I invite God into the bedroom. like
Where would God be?
I'm not gonna like hide and be like, oh, I don't see it.
God is in front of you. God is the person you're making love to. You're God making love to God in God. How could it be anything less than that?
Right.
The gay movement needs to just expand its vision, its horizon, and embrace the great tantric teachings, which have nothing whatever to do with religion and being sweet and good and everything. They have everything to do with learning how to bless your body and experience divine revelation through adoring another being who is equally awake, and experiencing together eruptions of ecstasy that initiate you into the nature of reality.
Right.
That's gay liberation.
How,
That's what we should be going towards and can be going towards. It's here for everyone.
in your experience, how have you seen people break through that shame?
I think the most important and perhaps the only really powerful way of breaking through that shame is loving somebody so crazily and being crazily loved back.
Wow.
Totally, wildly loved, loved shamelessly, made love to shamelessly,
Right.
just so adored as a being that all the barriers between your heart, your mind, your soul, and your genitals just melt away because you're just that being with another being, love making,
Yeah.
making love, being love, breathing love. That eliminates shame
Yeah.
because once you've tasted that, you realize that all the messages that you were ever given that weren't that were lies
Wow.
because you feel not only loved by the other, but you feel loved by God, by life. You feel cherished.
Right.
And in that cherishing, shame fades like mist.
Hmm. Wow. And I feel like I could.
Does that speak to you, what I'm saying?
No, it does. And that is the answer that really just is like, wow, because you can't, like, you literally can't be in love and be in shame. Like,
You can't be.
mm-mm,
No, not when you're experiencing being loved back. You can be in love and shame without being loved back. But when you experience the absolute freedom of reciprocal love, the fact that someone else is as crazy about you as you are about them,
mm,
that all the barriers go and you just realize there's the whole creation has been made for you to have that moment with another sacred being, that
right,
rapture, that intimacy, that utter sense of blessing.
right,
Nothing can survive that sense of blessing.
mm.
Only gratitude survives that. Only thank you survives that. Only that's God. That's love. That's the reality of reality. That's the truth behind everything. You know it when you've touched it because
Yeah,
it turns you to gold.
yeah.
Right?
And I feel like I could ask you questions about every single aspect of life, but what we're going through right now as society, I know that you are such a pioneer, especially with sacred activism. So I just want to I know you have so many thoughts about that. So I just want to open it to say, what are you considering right now around like the virus and the protest and the way we're framing it as a society?
Well, I just want to say that we have been talking about sacred activism because what would be more extraordinary than a race of liberated gay midwife warriors
Uh,
in the world,
I love that phrase.
fired by tantric, passionate love for each other and for God, and serving justice and compassion. That would be an extraordinary, loving, wild, holy, creative, brilliant army of sacred activists.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hear that again. Gay midwife warriors,
yeah.
like gay people helping and fighting for people to be born into
The
like
joy,
love. Yeah.
the freedom,
Wow.
the justice.
I love.
That's why we went on this journey. We went on this journey of being shamed and humiliated to become one with all the others that are shamed and humiliated. We healed ourselves through discovering this divine beauty in the middle of what was shamed and humiliated. We united with that beauty. We became warriors of love and we became midwives of a new humanity. That's the liberated, gay, enlightened, loving, wild, holy position